All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The Puckin Sports Network, as we mentioned, we are expanding our platforms, and you got a little bit of hockey, you got a little football, some basketball coming soon. We got some minor hockey stuff, but we're going back to our bread and butter here. We're going back to some wrestling and a little what we like to call off the top rope with Coach Frank. And by popular demand, he's back, the 16-time world heavyweight champion. No, it's not the Nature Boy Ric Flair. It's Rob Furnish from Talking Butts. Robbie, how's it going, buddy?
Woo!
Going
well, man.
Here, right?
No
scandals,
no.
Joe. Okay.
No pictures of me. No pictures of me on a train with somebody. I'm doing well, man. Like I'm always. I tell you what, like, pretty busy guy these days. But whenever you're like, let's talk some pro wrestling, I always got time to chat some pro wrestling. So let's do it. Let's get into it.
All right. But first, before we get to that, as you guys know, we started with Rob and his brother on their Talking Buds podcast. We're talking Leafs. And before I get into the wrestling, I just got to ask you the one question. I know from the tweets and, from you guys and myself and Joe, we're still hurting from last year, but we are in a new year. We're getting, close to face off. And I got to ask you just the one Leaf question from what you've seen so far. Just kind of hit me with it. One guy you think that we're going to be really surprised with and kind of, shock us to back like he was a good pickup, and one guy you think unfortunately might disappoint us. Could be a new guy, could be a returning player. Just kind of hit me with one and one.
For disappoint, I'm going to use the word disappoint because that's how you frame the question. I don't think he's going to disappoint. But I think the expectations that this fan base and certain members of this fan base are putting on Michael Bunting are just astronomical. Like some of the people who cover this team and discuss this team on Twitter, at least, are just talking about this guy like he's the second coming and he's the savior. And he's played really well in the preseason. And I think if put in the right role, he's going to be a nice addition to this team. But I think everyone needs to settle down with the expectations that are being placed on him. Like, let's just take a step back and let the guy come in and play. And listen, if he starts in the top six, and then eventually we find that he's going to be a better fit in the bottom six, that's okay. Like, everybody just chill on the Michael Bunting hype. The guy who, again, I'm going to change the way it's not that I think he's going to overly impress, but a guy who I think if he's used well, obviously is Nick Richie. You saw in the preseason game against the Habs the other night, like that goal that he scored, that Marner set him up for. That's what you got to do all year, man. Like, you're a big body. Like, it's funny because he's coming in to sort of fill the Hyman role, right? I don't think that he's as good a skater as Zach Hyman, but he is bigger and tougher. And if you put him in front of the net and you can't move him, those two guys on your line will feed you pucks all year long. So the best way I can answer your question is two of the new guys who I think if used correctly and set up to succeed, I think they'll do really well.
Yeah, and just follow up on that. I think the knock has been Richie. He's always, he's been 6'4", 6'5", but he's always played 5'10". So you're hoping that this is kind of I think it's his last chance to really get it, and really because he hasn't really hit the big contract yet. So he's here for 2 years. He can set himself $5-6 million in a couple of years. May not be with the Leafs, but here's his chance to kind of be that power forward, that Milan Lucic in his kind of heyday type of thing. So we'll see what happens there. The Bunting one, I touched on it with Joe and Rob. He was actually my pick as well, only because that goal production he had in Arizona was almost like you can't it was like 11 goals in 21 games. Like, that's unheard. Like, it's hard to replicate in an 82-game season. So temper the expectations.
Man, the hype is getting out of control. Yeah.
The best thing for him is that he's making the league minimum right now. And according to the depth chart, he's starting on the fourth line as it looks like right now. But that left side is whole interchangeable. But yeah, that's if it's not for his contract, he's not going to get a lot of flack. Like Hyman, who's only making 2.5. We love him at 2.5. Let's see how Edmonton loves him at 5.5. So,
yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
All right, man. That's enough of the hockey. The only ice I want to talk about is in my drink. So let's get to some wrestling. All right. So We're going to start off a little bit WWE. That is the, that is the main. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that now. I'll actually admit there are two now, but we'll start with the big ship. A lot has happened since we last spoke, but let's get right to the recent news. I want to get your take specifically on the draft. They've done a little different versions in the past. They've done, matches to see who picks. They've done, lotteries with general managers. This was just more of the, hey guys, it was a secret meeting in the back, and the executives from SmackDown and Raw have chosen, etc. We know, we've seen the rosters now, we've seen the movement. I just really want to take from you, from a wrestler standpoint, or talking WWE, a superstar standpoint.
Yeah.
Who are the winners and losers of the draft? As in, they're getting a fresh start, and you think, you're going to see them do well here. And okay, they're moving. I don't see them doing well here. Who do you got?
Well, the biggest moves in the draft in terms of like star power were Becky and Charlotte trading shows, in my opinion. Like those were the most notable shifts. You have the SmackDown Women's Champion coming to Raw and the Raw Women's Champion going over to SmackDown. I'm thinking this is going to set itself up for some sort of Survivor Series match between the two, where maybe they'll exchange the titles. I don't know. So to me, I think like that one, those two are kind of interchangeable. They left. I don't know about you, Frank, but I found the draft overall to be a bit underwhelming. Like they didn't move. Like Bobby Lashley is still on Raw. Roman Reigns is still on SmackDown, although I don't think anyone expected Roman Reigns to be moved over to Raw. I mean, Edge and Rollins, they moved over to Raw. That's kind of interesting. Rollins, honestly, I think he's better suited on Raw as like a top heel challenger for Big E in the WWE title. So here's what I'm going to say. If I have to pick winners of the draft, I'm going to pick Seth Rollins because I think he was always going to be the number 2 heel on SmackDown behind Roman. And Rollins is in kind of a weird spot because he's a terrible babyface. So you're not really rushing to that program with Roman. So now he can go and be a top heel on Raw. And then I'm going to say Drew McIntyre is the winner because his role on Raw was so stale, man. Like he lost to Bobby Lashley and lost that, like he can't challenge for the title. I know he's challenging Big E on the Saudi Arabia show, but obviously like no one expects him to win that match. So getting him on SmackDown, getting him some fresh opponents to work with, like I think those are the two winners of the draft.
Yeah, my take is simple. You took mine with Drew McIntyre. I think he was getting a little stale there. The whole thing with Jinder, I don't think if the casual fan, I don't think would have made the connection to the 3MB, to be quite honest with you. But I think with him going over to SmackDown, he's going to challenge Reigns. He's probably going to be fed to the Lions because, Reigns doesn't look like he's going to lose that anytime soon. However, it is fresh meat, fresh blood. Good to see. Yeah, I think they have a little unfinished business as well. But I'm going to go with a different guy. Maybe not, obviously, if you haven't watched the Olympics, you may not know who he is. But Gable, so let's try this one. Gable Steveson. So that's the guy. That's your Kurt Angle 2.0. This guy's a fresh face, but he's got the aura around him. He's going to come in, and I hope he comes in as a heel. I got to be honest with you. I hope he comes in like the Kurt Angle type of, maybe not your role model, but like, I'm the gold medalist. Nobody can touch me. He's going to go on a tear here, I think, because he's not starting in NXT. So they have a plan for this guy, and I think he's going to,
Do they though, Frank? Do they? I feel like, you know what? I was thinking about coming on and doing this with you tonight, and how the last couple times you and I have talked wrestling, I'm so negative and down on WWE, and like this is why. It's like you've got a guy who looks the part, has the athletic pedigree. He's gonna need some help on his promos and everything, which is like to be expected. And it's just like, I have zero faith that they're going to put this guy in a chance in a situation where he can succeed. And I just hope that they don't, like, he looks that guy could come in and stand face to face with Roman or Brock, and you buy that this is a viable challenger. You don't need to slap some stupid gimmick on him like Keith Bearcat Lee or like something ridiculous like that, man. Like you just don't. So I hope they don't do that. Like I really hope they don't. So I'm with you. I think he's like they're sitting on a guy here.
Technically, in your books, he could be a loser then in this case, because if they don't write him in properly, he's kind of dead off the start.
And I have no outside of guys who you can see have like creative say. So I'm talking 4 guys off the top of my head: Lesnar, Roman, Edge, Rollins. Those are 4 guys who you can tell have like creative say in what they do. Outside of those 4 guys, I don't have any faith in their ability to book anybody or put anybody in a situation where they can succeed. I just don't.
Fair point. Then that kind of leads into my losers, and seeing as kind of the flip of, almost like ping pong, back, forth. They finally, they had something where the audience was engaged. They're better as a group, and they split Kofi and Xavier again. And I think that's a lose for them because, it's almost Big E's going to do fine on his own because he has the title. But without the title, he just kind of fades into the back. But all 3 together, they can be in 6-man tags, tag teams, one-on-one. But when they're together, it's entertaining. And for me, I think they drive ratings. So the fact that they split Xavier and Kofi, what are they going to do now? They've already done the program with the Usos. They could have stayed on Raw with Big E. They could have supported him as the WWE champion because Bobby Lashley now has the Hurt Business back. That's a feud right there.
But
it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So,
Frank, you just put far more thought into it than they have. It's mind-boggling. Like it's sitting there for you on a tee, and you just kind of let it fall apart. Like, and that to me, when you watch WWE and their product, that just repeatedly jumps out at you at how like there's no real planning going on here. It's like we kind of go from TV week to week, and sometimes we hit on something. Like I thought the decision to have Big E come out and cash in and win the title was fantastic, but it's like, where do we go after that? And you can tell when you watch them on TV, they don't know where they're going.
Sometimes you think, there's an old saying, I guess common sense isn't so common anymore, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. Obviously they're the experts. We're not. We're just watch it, right? God, not like we have any good ideas, but there's one of them. But anyways, all right. Last thing on the WWE, the biggest thing right now, it's got everybody talking. Again, they're saving it for Saudi Arabia. God forbid you save it for a major pay-per-view and such, but I guess money talks over there. What are they doing, and where are they going with Reigns and Lesnar in this angle? Where do you think?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I love me some babyface Brock Lesnar. I love it. I love the look.
What do you think about the Viking ponytail?
Love it. I love the look. I love that he's coming back, and he's got, the thing about Lesnar, he's always been really good on the mic. Always, but he's just always had Heyman, because I don't think he wants to cut promos. And I think in this new era of WWE where it's so heavily scripted, Lesnar is just content to just let Heyman do all the talking and hit all the notes in the script. But when you watch him, he's outstanding. So obviously they're doing this. To me, this was your WrestleMania main event here. Like, I know they're desperately trying to get The Rock.
I know.
I don't think they're going to get The Rock. So to me, this was your Mania main event, and you're rushing it and going straight to it in Saudi. We know why, because there's a lot of money at stake. And so they want to put this on there so both Lesnar and Reigns can get a big payday, but also so they can get a big payday. If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's going to end in some sort of screwy finish, which will lead to a rematch at WrestleMania, which you're really going to have to work to get people excited about, because this will be the 3rd time that Lesnar and Reigns have faced each other in the main event of WrestleMania. And this one had more intrigue because Roman's a heel, but now you've already kind of burned the Brock coming back part, and you're just going right out of the gate with this in Saudi. So I don't know what they're going to do. it's disappointing that they're getting to it so quick. Like, this is something that you could have had a slow burn with Heyman for months and months. Like, you could have let this should Roman trust Heyman storyline go on for months. You really could have. So disappointing, but yeah.
And like, they're not going to have the week to week buildup because, and when you get these feuds, you know how it starts. One guy has to face one Uso one week. Another guy has to face another Uso another week. Then he finds a tag team and they do a 6-man tag another week. And there's your lead up to the pay-per-view. Brock showed up 3 times. And all of a sudden they tell you on the internet that they're facing each other in Saudi Arabia. No build up, no nothing. We got the kind of tease that Reigns thinks Heyman's with Lesnar, but they could have built that up so much better.
Yep.
And you're right. Maybe this could be a best of 3, how they do it down the line. But I wonder if the payoff here is somehow, Heyman's Heyman. He's, he is who he is for a reason. Could we see a turn? Could we see a screw job from that side? Roman doesn't need Heyman. You know what I mean? But if we see that,
if you have Heyman screw Roman, that puts Roman in a babyface position, and I think that's a mistake. I think Roman Reigns has the 2 best wrestlers on planet Earth right now, in my opinion, are the 2 world champions of both companies, Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega. And I
hold
think
that thought. Oh, that's a tease. I'll tell you why later. Hold that thought. Okay.
But I think I don't think putting Roman in a babyface position when he has absolutely crushed it as your top heel is a good thing. And plus, I don't know if you want to put the title on Lesnar again so soon, especially and burn a bunch of his dates that he has leading into WrestleMania. So I think it could potentially end in a screwy with a Heyman getting involved, but I could see Heyman doubling down and siding with Roman to help Roman beat Brock. And then that's your sort of cliffhanger that leads you into Mania season.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I think, because you're right. He has limited dates. So I just don't want them to lose the fizzle of Brock. Like, Brock's an attraction. He's not an active wrestler. He's an attraction. Every time he shows up, I'm glued. I love the guy.
Yeah, same.
But I love him every 3rd week.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And the subtle microphone, that whole free agent thing, I love it. I just don't want it to fizzle. So I want it to just, you're right. Let it kind of lead into a couple more matches, but I want more intrigue. I want more around this story. So anyways, let's move the I guess the Titan to the left, and let's go to the elite, the elite in AEW. Where do we even start? Well, obviously the big news since last time we spoke is the new additions, and hint, there's probably more coming. Yep. But of the new additions, and I know some have only been there for maybe about a couple weeks now, names like Malakai Black, Adam Cole, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, who, in your opinion, so far, has made the biggest impact in the few weeks that they've been there?
Bryan Danielson.
Really?
Because yes, and I'll walk you through my logic. And then honestly, the second one would probably be Malakai Black.
Yes,
because he's been in that awesome feud, and he's been mowing down Cody and everyone. And then Arn was talking about pulling out the Glock and everything. It's just getting
that came out of left field.
yeah. I loved all the armed Anderson memes that came out after that. So I'm gonna say. Actually, you know what? Let's tie them. Let's say Malakai and Bryan tied. I want to start with the 2 that I didn't mention though. So first and foremost, CM Punk. Obviously, him returning was the biggest deal out of any of them, just because of who he is, the circumstances surrounding it. That video of him returning in Chicago is one of the most epic wrestling videos you'll ever see. But one thing I'm really getting about Punk is he really meant it when he said that he's there to work with the young guys and just sort of be a guy. He started with Darby Allin. Now he's moving into Team Taz. I'm sure that he'll be in the world title picture at some point down the line. But he just comes out and he cuts his promos and he whatever. Adam Cole. I love Adam Cole. Adam Cole, I think, is one of the best wrestlers on earth today. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because he left WWE, and when you read the rumors of some of the stuff they were pitching him about joining the main roster, you're like, okay, well, you need to get the hell out of there. So yeah, but now he goes to AEW as that great big debut. But now he's just like a crony in the elite a little bit. Like he's like Kenny is obviously the leader of the elite, and he's the world champion. He's got the title, and then the Bucks and Adam Cole are kind of his posse. And I just feel like Adam Cole is so much more than a posse member. I know he just came in. I know it's a slow burn, and hopefully down the line, the smart thing to do is put him where they have him now. And then over time, you're planting breadcrumbs about how he's sort of like, I want to take this over. I'm tired of being in Kenny's shadow. And that leads to a bunch of great Kenny and Adam Cole matches down the line.
Yes.
Malakai, I also mentioned, I said he's been doing a great job with the Cody feud, and his character is awesome, and it's great. I don't know about you, but when Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega had their match on Dynamite a few weeks ago, and they rang the bell, and the crowd popped at the bell. Dude, I have goosebumps on my arm right now. I literally have goosebumps on my arm right now talking about it. Like that was one of the coolest pro wrestling moments I've ever seen. And he's come in there. I love that he's kind of come in and he's gone back to his American Dragon character. Yes. Daniel Bryan in WWE was kind of, as much as we all loved him, but his character is very much sort of like this underdog goofball type guy. And I love that he's back to this, like, no, I'm an ass kicker. Yeah. And I'm here to kick everybody's ass. Yeah. And I'm a huge, huge fan of what he's done since coming into AEW. So I'm going to go with Bryan Danielson.
You know what? It's that your explanation makes sense. What I like about these guys here, and I'm glad you hit the nail on the head there, because I was going to say it. The whole idea for these guys coming in is to make the lesser knowns kind of elevate them. If you watched Dynamite last night, that 8-man tag, do you know who they were cheering for? Like, okay, they were cheering for kind of, their favorite guys, but the biggest cheers was Luchasaurus.
Yep.
Who would have saw that one coming?
Yeah.
Why? Because, look who they're in the ring with. Look who they're elevating. He's on the same team as Bryan Danielson. Like, they're working together. It's just that whole feel. And I think Danielson said the perfect thing. AEW is for wrestling fans.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not what WWE. WWE's not for wrestling fans. It's the pure. Yes. There's no angles, no backstage garbage. Like it's right into it. And what I love about them the most is that it's not dictated by titles. You could have no titles, and these feuds, like it's not required. They're good enough where everything is fresh. You can come up with something new all the time. There's not 7 rematches, in a row. And again, everybody's kind of interchangeable in these different tiers. And you're right. Like, CM Punk is going to be facing Daniel Garcia on Rampage this Friday. Who would have, like, he doesn't need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a reason for it. And I just think it's great how they're doing it. And you don't get tired of it. That's why it makes me tune in every week to say, okay, who's going to fight who now? And now you got like MJF, who nobody can stand. He's going to fight Darby Allin. Like, that's a pretty cool, where they're going with that. Who's Sammy going to defend the TNT title against? Or, that's new and fresh. It's just refreshing. I guess that's probably the best word I can use.
To tack onto your point about like how it's not dictated by titles, that also has another impact in that the titles mean something.
Yes.
In WWE, the belts they're props. Like they don't mean anything.
Yep.
Like Roman has made the universal title mean something because Roman is so good. Yes. But like, did anybody care at all when Bobby Lashley was a WWE champion? No. And that's not a slight against Bobby Lashley. It's a slight on how they treat their titles.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's AEW, man. It's Daniel Bryan hit it right on the head. And I know you got questions, but I just wanted to lay a take on you. I might be interjecting on what
go ahead.
What you wanted to ask. So there's been a lot made. This kind of dawned on me when I was watching the All Out pay-per-view. there's a lot that's been made about the NXT rebrand.
Mhm.
And what are they doing? Why did they get rid of the best thing they had going? And like, why did they do it? And at first, that's what I thought. I was like, why are you doing this? But you know what? When you watch AEW, NXT in its heyday was AEW. Like it was the super indie, right?
Yeah.
And the takeovers on WrestleMania weekend with all that's what AEW is now.
Yep.
So AEW has come along and sort of taken the place of the super indie. And kind of pushed NXT out of that market, right? So if you're a wrestler like an Adam Cole, like Bobby Fish just signed, you got the Undisputed Era hat on. The Bobby Fish just signed, right? So it's like I get now why WWE was like, okay, we're gonna go in a completely different direction, because what we had here before was sort of like the super indie style. AEW is just, they're the kings of that now. So let's just let them have that fan, the fight forever wrestling fan. Let them have that, and we'll turn this into like a developmental that kind of reminds me of WCW Saturday Night, and just we're gonna change it up. I'm
not even going down that road. When you change the name of a Steiner, and people know who it is, and it's like it's almost like you're insulting the fan. It's like, we know who he is, guys.
Yes.
It's not gonna hurt you. Change his first name. Who cares? Steiner's not even their last name, for Christ's sake. So just change their first name. But I'm not going down that road. But yes, I think I had the fortune. I was fortunate to go to a takeover in Toronto. Best pay-per-view I went to in ages. I think the atmosphere was incredible, and that was a taste of what an AEW experience is going to be. I can't wait for them to come to Toronto. I will be there. But you're right. That was the foundation, and somewhere along the way, I guess it didn't fit the mold of what they wanted to do. So I think that's a great analogy. All right, let's have a little fun now.
Okay.
We have Survivor Series coming up in November, and the last kind of few iterations of it has been SmackDown versus Raw, or SmackDown versus Raw versus NXT, which was awesome as well. I'm going to make this my own little custom Survivor Series. It's going to be AEW versus WWE.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the match. You tell me who goes over in the match. Okay? Here we go. Ready? MJF versus Kevin Owens.
Ooh. Well, given the rumors around Kevin Owens' contract status, that could be a match we're actually seeing sometime in 2022. That would be a really great program, because Owens, if he went back to his like traditional Kevin Steen character, would be a really great sort of foe for MJF. I'm going to go Kevin Owens.
Ooh, okay, I like it. All right, so that's one for WWE. All right.
Yep.
Finn Balor versus Darby Allin.
I come on here and I do nothing but bash the WWE, but now I'm going to go 2 in a row for WWE, because again, I think that would be an outstanding match, but I think Finn is like Darby is still on the incline. Like Darby still has a ways to go, in my opinion. Darby has main event potential, but he still, I think, is not quite there yet. Whereas like Finn Balor is at the top of his game. So I'm going 2-0 for WWE.
All right. Britt Baker versus Becky Lynch.
Oh, man, these are good. Well, see, this is one where it's like I kind of want to put my booking hat on and be like, if Britt Baker's the babyface and Becky Lynch is the heel, I'm going to put Baker over as a babyface win. If Becky's the babyface, then I'm going to put her over, because Becky as a babyface is the best. So whoever the babyface is, that's my answer to that one.
The Young Bucks versus the Usos.
Oh, the Young Bucks. The Usos, listen. The Usos are talented, and they're stalwarts, and they've been there forever. But like, these guys are getting the biggest rub of their life from being the cousin of who I think is one A of the best wrestlers on earth right now. So,
all right, let's remove them. Young Bucks versus the New Day.
Oh, Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are an unbelievable tag team.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
One up for them. All right, two more. Adam Cole versus AJ Styles.
Oh, dude, that would be, I would be pumped to watch that match. I'm going, so I'm going to come at this from a booking perspective. I'm going, the two of them have a back and forth epic match. Styles beats him with the Styles Clash, sort of catches him with the Styles Clash, pins him. Cole earns his respect. Down the line, you do the rematch, and he puts Cole over.
Okay, but we're on this pay-per-view, Styles is going over?
Styles wins, yes.
All right.
So Styles goes over at Survivor Series, and then at Mania or whatever, we'll put Cole over.
All right, and in the main event, Fuego del Sol over Raymond. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, don't ask me to pick. I know this one. Don't ask me to pick this one.
Versus Roman Reigns.
Oh, I'm gonna have to talk through this one with you. Oh man, you've got me stumped here. So I'm gonna pick with my heart here. Okay. Kenny Omega is the best wrestler, like the most gifted professional wrestler I've ever seen. And dude, you could draw so many comparisons right now between their two characters. Like they're both heels who are head of stables, who have that sort of arrogant chip on their shoulder, who are both the world champion, who both have a skeezy mouthpiece in Don Callis and Paul Heyman. Like, it's just the two of them, like, there's so much that you can compare. Kenny Omega is the best wrestler on planet Earth. It's the best, like, in-ring wrestler I've ever seen. But I'm going to go with Roman Reigns because in a sea of garbage, Roman Reigns is the shining diamond that, despite years of being put in awful situations by his employer, finally got his way and rose to the top and has become the best thing that the WWE has had in years. Heel Roman Reigns is the best thing they've had in years. So I'm going to go with Roman because I think Roman would deserve it because he's had to overcome more than Kenny has. Like, you knew as soon as AEW started, Kenny was going right to the top. And it's the same thing with Roman. But again, Kenny didn't have to go through any silly babyface gimmicks or force feeding him down anyone's throat like Roman did. That was really long-winded, but that's a great question.
I wasn't going to make it easy, but that's the type of fun now, knowing how close these guys are in terms of, watchability, and they're there. AEW still has a little bit, but they're there in terms of, main event guys. So I just figured, hey, listen, I'm curious where his allegiance would be, and you know what? I guess WWE takes it on this one. So we'll see who can do that again down the line.
No, the wrestlers you chose took it. If you told me to pick between the two companies, then I would say, I don't. But you chose the right wrestlers.
I think we're both on the same side on this one.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why you, my friend, are the expert and why we make this so fun. So, Rob, I appreciate your time, man. This is awesome. I know you got some new stuff, so please tell everybody what you're working on, what to look out for, and where you can find it.
Well, like you, we've launched our own sort of little network as well with a bunch of shows like at the Puckin Sports Network, if you will. We got Talkin' Buds podcast, Toronto Maple Leafs heading into our 4th season. As you know, like, this is going to be a really interesting year, and I this is as skeptical as I've been as a Leaf fan in a really long time. So I'm sure there's going to be emotional roller coaster this year. So tune into that. Recently launched a brand new show called Talkin' Pop, which is a weekly show where we discuss the latest in movies and TV, mostly centered around like nerd topics like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and that sort of thing. And last but not least, we have the Talkin' Buds football show, which is just once a week. Myself and my two co-hosts hop on and we talk about what happened the previous week and tee up the upcoming week and just have a lot of fun with it. So we're all on YouTube and just search Talkin' Buds and you'll find everything else from there.
You heard him, guys. You search it. That's awesome. Rob, once again, awesome, man. We'll catch you down the line. We got some more eventful stuff happening. So you guys keep watching YouTube and stuff and updates on Instagram and Twitter. This is Coach Frank for off the top rope. We'll catch you later. That's the 1, 2, 3.
See ya.